Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, Branded Despia is here. Branded finally received the support it needed to be top tier, and with the addition of Branded Fusion, Mirror Jade, and Lubellion, we now have access to a very competent strategy. So, let's explain the deck. First of all, I am playing the Adventure Engine, and the reason for that is because Dracoback is an insane card. Sure, you can play the Frightfur package, which means that you are able to get your strategy more often, and you are able to see more just cards in general. You have the fusions, you have darks more often, but the real power comes from Dracoback being able to spin a card back to the extra deck, which very much so matters when Mirror Jade is as prominent as it is. So Adventure just seems to be the right play. Also, ending on a negate where normally you can't is very nice. But let's do the quick card by card. Starting off with the hand traps, we're playing the 2 Maxi, the double Gamma, and the 1 Driver, the 2 Nibiru, and the 2 Imperm. That's pretty much it for the hand traps. We are playing a few other tech cards to mention. We are playing the 1 Pot of Prosperity. It's just the best pot. Realistically, I'd play it at 3 if I could. And then we're playing the 2 Called By. And then the last one is Dimensional Barrier. So the reason for this is because a lot of decks are specifically going into Synchros and Fusions, so this allows us to basically turn off their entire deck for a turn, which is very, very nice. Dimensional Barrier is going to be main decked, and I expect... I mean, this is another reason why the adventure stuff is so much better. Being able to still play when the Dimensional Barrier is out is very nice. Moving on to the actual main deck cards, we're obviously running the 2 Water Enchantress, the 1 Griffin Rider, the 2 Rat of Aramasir, and the 1 Fateful Adventure, and the 1 Dracoback. Moving on, we are also playing 1 Snow as a target to send off of Branded Fusion. As for the actual monsters that we want, we're like... the rest of the monsters, basically the Branded and Despia part of the engine. We are playing the 2 Tragedy, reason being it's very nice to send off of a branded opening, which we are maxing out on. We are playing the 2 Aluber because it conflicts with the Enchantress, or the Adventure Engine, so we want to summon this specifically off of the branded opening, and we don't really want to see it as often in hand unless it is not paired alongside the Rat of Aramasir access. Next up, we're playing the 2 Fallen of Albaz. This is our send target off of Branded Fusion, so it's very important. Yeah. Then we're running the 1 in Ecclesia. This is kind of just another light target to send. If like a fusion were to go to the graveyard, you can add this card back to your hand, which is very nice. It's very good going second option. Just overall a very, very solid card. And then we are playing the 1 Dramaturg and the 1 Ad Libitum. That's it for the monsters. We're running, of course, the triple branded fusion, triple branded opening, as I mentioned previously, 2 branded in red, so that we have additional options to activate during our opponent's turn, and 1 branded lost. This card is absolutely... well, it's interesting. I think it might be bugged, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, the activation of your cards and effects that include the effect to fusion summon a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. If a fusion monster is fusion summoned, you can add a Fallen of Albaz or a monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. This basically means that your monsters are going to go through, they're going to be fusion summoned most of the time, as well as you are going to be able to add a Fallen of Albaz or an Ecclesia from your deck to your hand off of this card. This is mostly used to, you either search it off of an Aluber if you already have the branded in red and the branded fusion, or it's just nice if you end up having to draw it and then you just slap it down. So that's it for those cards. Moving on, we are playing the 1 Dragus Depelio. The reason for this is because you can actually make this off of a Lubellion. Where is it? A Lubellion, which is nice to go into just because you can, negate something. Very nice overall. We have the 1 Titaniclad, the 1 Brigand, and the double Albion for our targets of the 4 Albaz. Yeah, these are mostly going to be summoned off of the actual Albaz himself. So there you go. Or just be sent off of the Albaz. Next up, we have the 1 Despian Q as well as the Masquerade. These two are kind of for corner cases. If you're able to get a Masquerade onto your field and a Mirror Jade, it's very nice because it's very difficult to out both of them. So yeah, and you kind of have to answer both of them as well. Next up, we have Mirror Jade, the heart and soul of this deck, the reason to play it, and let me just read it. If you can only control one, just one of this card. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target you can send a fusion monster from your extra deck that lists Fallen Volbaz as material, and banish a monster on the field. Also, this can't be activated. This card cannot use this effect next turn. So what this means is, one, it's not a hard once per turn, meaning if you get another one of these guys out onto your side of the field, you can do it again. Second, it's a non-target banish. And third, it allows you to dump things like Albion, Titaniclad, or Brigand, which allows you to set or add another one of your spells or monsters from your deck to your hand. This means you can get into rotation another branded fusion. You can set a branded in red for the following turn. You can search out a Fallen Volbaz for the follow-up as well. Overall, very nice. Also, if this fusion summon card is in its owner's control, leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, an opponent's card, period, in any way, whether through card effect or not, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn. This is absolutely invaluable and one of the reasons to play this deck. If you end on this card, they have to out a non-target banish while also having their field wiped, and you get follow-up. Basically, they have to kill you that turn, otherwise you are going to hurt them very hard. Next up, we have the Lubellion. This is just another way to fusion summon. You discard a card to fusion summon a level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck when it's summoned, and what it allows you to do is shuffle back the fusion material from the graveyard, banish, or field, which means that you can use itself in order to go into the Mirror Jade, which requires a fusion, synchro, exe, or link. So, very, very good. It also allows you to send, or to go into it off of a branded fusion by sending a Tragedy, which is very nice, because then Tragedy can search additional follow-up. Then, of course, we have the 2 Guardian Chimera. Pretty self-explanatory. I have a 1 Link Spider in here in case we go into Rite of Aramesir, into a Verte Anaconda. That just allows us to go right into another normal summon into Verte in order to get the branded fusion off. And then, of course, the Verte. So, that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and see how this deck performs. Before we get on to the rest of the video, did you know that 70% of the people who watch my content aren't subscribed? If you end up liking the content, consider subscribing. You can always unsubscribe later if you end up not liking it. Anyway, let's get on to the rest of the video. Alright, so here we are with basically just Adventure at this point. This isn't the greatest of hand to showcase the Despia stuff, but it will become better, trust me. So my opponent is going to activate Dimension Shifter here, which makes things a little bit sticky. Realistically, it's not that big of a deal because we do have the Rite of Aramesir still in grave, so we should be able to play around this, seeing as how we also didn't really have anything else to kind of go off of, and we drew the Draco back anyway, so okay. We're going to activate the Draco back and equip the monster, and then I didn't activate the effect of our Wandering Griffin Rider, and that is dumb. I should have special summoned the Wandering Griffin, but it actually ends up being good for us here. So my opponent is going to special summon the Pankratops, and then they are going to go for the Ecclesia to summon out the Sword, the Iris Sword Soul. So at this point, we know that they are on 8 access, aka Luna Kaiju, and we're basically just going to be level 8 or rank 8 spammed. That's it. We also have this called by that's not doing anything. But my opponent is going to walk into everything, and now that we are no longer under Dimension Shifter, we can activate the Called by the Grave on this Pankratops, which feels nice. Also, this Nibiru is not doing anything. Sad. We draw for turn a Branded Opening, which is quite frankly one of the best draws that we can get, but we are going to go for the Water Enchantress here, and we are going to banish the Water Enchantress, and they're going to Ash that. Okay, that does suck, but not much that we can do. I did want to grab back that Rite of Aramesir. Anyway, we're going to special summon out the Wandering Griffin Rider, as well as specialing out our Aluber. We're going to activate the Aluber. They're going to draw 2 cards, because of course they are, and we get to add the Branded Fusion. So we're going to go for the Branded Fusion here, and we are going to send a Light and a Dark. So we're going to send the Driver here, because this was before I was playing Snow. Definitely play Snow. Absolutely crazy card. So I send the Driver here to go for the Albion. The reason I do this is because I don't have any cards in hand to discard off of the Lubellion, so instead we have to go for the Albion. So we're going to go Albion. We are going to banish itself as well as the Albaz in order to go into Mirror Jade. So now that we have Mirror Jade, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. We're going to go for the Mirror Jade effect here. They're going to activate their Pankratops in order to target the back row, and I'm just going to call it by negating the Pankratops. Kind of just trading even there, but you know, hey, might as well. We're going to banish their last monster and attack in for some damage. We're also going to search out the Branded Fusion here and pass the turn. My opponent is going to special summon Alpha. Alpha is then going to spin away the Mirror Jade. This is the biggest way to deal with this card, so there you go. They're going to go Thunderbird. I'm going to snipe it. sniped. They're going to go Bigfoot. Again, sniped. So that's really lucky for us, but hey, they're going to go Alpha in order, and then summon out the Astral Karibo, and then summon into the Hope Harbinger. So this is going to negate the effects of our Branded Fusion, and since it does negate the effect, we cannot activate it again. Most cards currently negate activations, and this card can be activated multiple times if the activation is negated. It can only be activated once, so there's that. However, negating the effect means that we are not going to be able to do that. However, we draw Branded in red, which is very interesting. Anyway, here we're going to grab the Water Enchantress and pitch the Water Enchantress. We're then going to activate the Water Enchantress to grab up the Right, and then we are going to activate Right of Aramasir here in order to go for the token. We're then going to activate our Branded in red to search or to add back our Aluber, and we're going to normal summon the Aluber. We're then going to link into Link Spider, and then we are going to link into a Verte Anaconda. Now, they cannot actually negate the activation of our Verte, or negate the effect of our Verte, because it is copying the effect of the spell. The spell is just being sent to the graveyard. That's it. So we still get our Branded Fusion off here, and we're going to use that same Verte Anaconda as well as the Albaz from a deck in order to go into another Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade's effect is going to activate. We're going to send the Lubellion because we don't have any more Albions to send, and then we are going to attack in for 3k. At this point, the game is pretty much sealed. We still have a Branded Fusion in our hand, and out comes the Luna. We still can just negate the Luna by sending the last Mirror Jade, and at this point, they don't really have much that they can do. They're going to send or summon out their Sage the Floor that they had in hand, but we're going to protect with Branded Opening, and they concede. Now, this was one of the most interesting duels that we had on stream today, and you will see why when we begin. So I'm going to start off with the Branded Opening. That's basically all that we can do, and we're going to pitch the Gamma here. We're going to search out the Aluber, and then we are going to normal summon the Snow. The reason I do this is because I thought that I could go Verte Anaconda, because I was guessing that they had something like an Ash Blossom. Turns out they don't. Out comes Maxi. Little late, but sure. So we're going to go for the Lubellion, and then we are going to activate the Lubellion effect in order to go into Mirror Jade by pitching the Ad Libitum. We're also going to search out the Dramaturg while we are here. We're going to shuffle back our two monsters and go into Mirror Jade. We're going to set the Super Polymerization. This was, again, when I had Super Polymerization. I switched out the Super Poly for the Dimensional Barrier, and I do think that it is better overall. However, Super Poly does come up really well here. They're going to go for the adventure stuff here, and out comes their Fallen Volbaz, which isn't going to do anything for them because they've already activated their Right of Aramasir. So they're going to go and special summon out their Wandering Griffin Rider. I'm just going to get rid of their token here, but they're going to link off into Predaplant Verte Anaconda, and this is where something like Super Polymerization is very good. However, again, if this was Dimension Barrier, it would be even better. I'd activate that, turn off their entire deck, end of the game. But yeah, we're going to go for the Masquerade here. And out comes the Branded in red. They're going to add their Albaz back to hand and then fusion summon into their own Lubellion. I can't really interact with this. At this point, it's entirely just go at it, dude. So they are going to shuffle back two monsters in order to go for the Mirror Jade themselves. They're going to activate the Mirror Jade effect in order to send the Albion in order to banish our own Mirror Jade. I'm going to activate my Mirror Jade. I'm also going to special summon out my Aluber here, just so that I can have extra material in case they want to try and kill me. I have that additional protection. So yeah, turns out they're just going to end the turn, or they're just going to go to battle, and their field is going to be wiped, and then our field is going to be wiped. Now, they set a card called Branded Retribution. This card is really weird, and it's kind of good. I don't think it's quite as good as people might think it is, but it is very interesting. So it's just in Omni Negate. Basically, when a spell trap or a monster effect is activated, that includes the effect to special summon a monster. I guess it's not really an Omni Negate, but it's a negate for things like Branded Fusion. Return to the extra deck a face-up fusion monster you control, or two fusion monsters in your graveyard that mention Fallen Volbaz as material. And if you do, negate the activation and destroy the card. Now, notably, it doesn't negate the activation. So, that's pretty nice. Also, you can banish it, then target a branded spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So, it is additional recursion, but it is very specific, and there are a lot of ways to deal with that, seeing as how if you just, don't special summon a monster, or if you have something like Right of Aramasir, or multiple copies of it, or multiple copies of Branded Fusion, as you'll see, it ends up not really doing enough. So we're going to nuke their field, they're going to nuke our field, and it will be our turn. I draw Maxi, which is interesting, but I'm going to activate the Tragedy in our graveyard in order to set the Branded Fusion to our field. So we're going to activate the Branded Fusion. They obviously need to negate that, so they're going to negate by shuffling back their Lubellion and their Albion, and that's going to get negated. That's fine, we have the second one. So we're going to activate that, and we are going to go for a Lubellion once again. We're going to send the Tragedy and the Fallen of Albaz, and then we're going to activate it again in order to shuffle back 2 of our monsters to go for the Mirror Jade. We're going to keep the Lubellion on our field because I wanted to shuffle back the second Mirror Jade so that we could keep it in rotation. Having the Lubellion on our field is fine. We still have the second one in the extra deck. So yeah, we're going to pass the turn. They are going to go and activate their effect in order to grab back their Branded in red. So this is a little worrisome, but not a whole lot that I can do to interact at this point. They're going to go for their Branded Opening, which they had set in order to special summon out their Aluber. They're going to go for their Branded Fusion. Again, this is kind of looking scary, but we still have the Mirror Jade, as well as we have Tragedy Engrave that can banish to set another Branded Fusion. So we can still go for that. They're going to go for their Lubellion here, as well as their Tragedy. Tragedy is going to, Lubellion is going to pitch their Rite of Aramesir. They just decided not to go for that. They're going to search up the Albion as additional follow-up, and then they're going to activate their Mirror Jade. I'm going to activate my Mirror Jade here as well, and I'm going to banish their Mirror Jade. They're going to banish mine, and we're going to nuke each other's fields. I'm also going to go for my Aluber here. This is a slight misplay. Realistically, if I know that my opponent is going to nuke my field, I could just wait for the Aluber to come back by letting the Lubellion go to the graveyard. However, we still do have the Branded Opening in grave, so I could keep it around if I need to. They're also on pretty low life points as well. They have the Branded and Lost, and they'd set a card, so there's that. We're going to go for the Albion in order to search up the Branded Fusion, and then my opponent is going to have his field wiped. He's going to do the same thing, protect with the Branded Opening, and we're just kind of staring at each other. I end up drawing the Water Enchantress, which is very nice. I'm actually going to go for the, they go for Maxi here on the activation of my Masquerade. I am then going to chain Snow, just so that I can get that extra material onto my side of the field for additional damage. So out comes Snow, out comes the Masquerade. They're going to draw a card. We are going to tuck down the Lubellion for no particular reason. They are going to go for their Branded in red here. And I see them use 3 materials and immediately know Guardian Chimera is coming out. Realistically, this isn't the greatest of options, but I do understand it. However, this card is targetable, so do keep that in mind. Normally, it has like a polymerization in grave, which makes it a little bit stronger, but in this case, they don't. So we're going to go for the Rite of Aramesir from deck. We're going to activate that in order to grab up our Fateful Adventure, since we haven't done the adventure line yet. We're going to actually send to the graveyard the Branded Fusion because, again, we still have the Tragedy in grave to set it if we need to. But we are going to special summon out the Wandering Griffin Rider. They are going to activate their Ash Blossom. I'm going to negate that because I need this to go through so that we can get our Draco back to spin back the Guardian Chimera. At this point, we have lethal on board, so I'm just going to proceed to battle and deal lethal damage. Good game! Alright, and here we are with a hand and a half. We're going first this time, which is nice, but we did draw the Pot of Prosperity, so we're going to go for 3 here. We see the Aluber, which is nice, but there's Branded Opening. That is exactly what we want, so we're going to search up that one. We're going to go for the Water Enchantress here in order to go for Rite of Aramesir to get a negate out as quickly as possible. So we're going to go for the Branded Opening here to grab up ourselves the Aluber as well as the... Oh, well, okay. Well, that does get negated, and destroyed, sorry, because it's Ghost Trigger. I thought it was Ash. Anyway, we get the search of the Branded in red, but that's okay, because now we can go for our Lubellion. So we're going to go Lubellion here, and we will activate the Tragedy effect as well. We're going to pitch that third Branded Fusion, so that's 1, 2, 3 engrave, and my opponent will chain to that the Dragon Dark. Thunder Dragons. All right, good to know. Don't know why they decided to chain that, but they did. Anyway, we're going to go for the Mirror Jade here in defense position, and we will add our Ad Libitum. We're going to set the Branded in red and pass back. Alright, out comes the Allure of Darkness. Well, there you go. That's full combo, basically. They're going to go for the Thunder Dragon Dark. They're going to add the Roar to hand, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, they probably already have their Dragon Hawk in hand as well, so that is something to watch out for. They're probably going to have access to their Colossus, which we can still out very easily with Mirror Jade, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about Titan. Also, we can play around Colossus very well, given the fact that both branded opening as well as our things like Albion and the like do have the ability to summon cards or set cards to the field, so we can just do that instead if we need to. Anyway, out comes another Allure of Darkness. They're going to banish a Roar here. Roar is then going to special summon out the Dragon Matrix. They're then going to normal summon Fallen Volbaz and activate Super Polymerization. Alright. Sounds good. They're going to Super Poly away our Mirror Jade. I'm not too upset about that because we do have the Ad Libitum. We can go branded in red to bring out the to fusion summon using the Ad Libitum. Ad Libitum can then bring back the Mirror Jade that was just sent, and now we have a Mirror Jade on our side of the field. Also, Mirror Jade's going to activate, so it's going to wipe their field at the end phase as well. Anyway, we are going to fusion summon here as well, just to kind of get monsters off of my opponent's side of the field. They're going to go for their own Mirror Jade, and out comes our Guardian Chimera. We're going to go Guardian Chimera and then Ad Libitum, and they are going to also activate the effect of their Mirror Jade. And now, the better play here would be to actually banish their own Thunder Dragon Matrix. And I know what you're thinking, that's crazy, why would they do that? Well, if they do that, Guardian Chimera cannot pop 2 cards, therefore, he cannot add cards, he cannot pop cards, he can't really do anything, right? If this card is summoned, you can draw cards equal to the number of cards you use for its material from hand, and if you do, destroy cards your opponent controls equal to the number of cards used as fusion as material from the field. So I guess I could still draw cards, but I wouldn't be able to destroy anything. I don't know how exactly that works, but I know that like if I don't have enough targets, like if there's no targets for me to pop, I don't get to draw. So I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I think that's how that works. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, we bring back our own Mirror Jade and pop their 2 cards. They're going to activate their Mirror Jade, but we have a branded opening in Grave, so we should be fine. They're going to add their Thunder Dragon Fusion and pass the turn. They're going to go Albion in order to set their branded fusion, but they're not going to get that turn. Anyway, we have the branded opening, which is quite possibly the best draw that we could have had because we have the Tragedy in hand. So we're going to special summon out our Allure. They're going to negate it. I am going to prevent that from happening by banishing our own monster with Mirror Jade. Yes, you can banish your own monster in order to dodge effects if you need to. So we're going to add that branded in red, and then we're going to activate the Tragedy effect in Grave in order to set the branded fusion. We're going to activate the branded fusion. My opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes. So overall, I think this deck is very good. I don't think it is going to be the best deck, not even close, just because in best of ones, there is a lot more that this deck kind of just loses to. It has a few notable choke points, and it can't really side deck in anything, which is its greatest feat. Being able to switch out so many cards is quite nice. However, overall, this deck is still very strong. I don't know if it's tier 1, probably. It's very much so up there with the Adventure Tenyi stuff, with Prank Kid, with Sword Soul, all up there, all competitive. I think you do have to basically main deck a lot of big blowout cards, like for example, the Dimensional Barriers, the Nibirus, the Gammas, stuff like that, to just kind of win immediately. So yeah, overall, I do really enjoy this deck. The Branded Fusion is such a cool card, and overall, it really does feel like you're outplaying your opponent if you're able to just like play the game. Even in the mirror match, it does feel like it comes down to more so who has the better play, like who's better at the game, which is really cool. That really makes this deck fun. Anyway, I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.